Welcome to the podcast of disaster. I'm your host JCR1216, and joining me are my co-hosts Lord M and Court.
Hello.
And today we have a very special guest, CheesyWheesy. Welcome to the podcast of disaster.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So we're here today to talk about your fantastic AU. I almost said EU, but we're not in Europe. Sonic Extremis. I guess to start off, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience of 36 subscribers as of recording this on July 5th, 7:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hey man, you gotta aim high. Get those subscribers up, bro.
We're trying.
I am CheesyWheesy. Well, that's what I'm called on pretty much every platform. I'm an artist and a writer. I mostly draw Sonic, but I draw other things. But today we're going to be talking about the Sonic stuff that I draw and write and ramble and just generally annoy people with, probably.
Then you'll fit right in here.
Yep. But yeah, Sonic Extremis, my baby.
So let's get started with this question. What made you want to start your baby, aka Extremis?
Well, it started off as just sort of a stray thought one day where I was like, man, it'd be nice to just, write a Sonic AU that is particularly tailored to my interest and no one else's, well, probably someone else's interest, but it was mostly just made as, indulgence, I suppose. Just like, man, I want to make a Sonic AU that is just made for me. Like, this was designed specific, somebody chemically got all the pieces together, all my interest, and did a science experiment, and bam, this AU just existed. That was essentially the premise, just like that. This is made, and it's not even just tailored to me now. It was actually tailored to what I would have wanted to see, I guess, as a TV show or a comic or a game, even what have you. Just this AU is just all of those. Man, I wish this was a thing, and put into an actual thing. Now that I have the skills, might as well do it. So yeah, that kind of inspired. Well, in terms of direct inspirations, I guess I could get into that. Lupin the Third. I talk about Lupin the Third a lot on my Twitter. That is one of the big ones. That and Edge Runners, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and another Trigger anime, BNA. So I guess in terms of just direct inspirations, those are the ones that are, I guess, the most blatantly obvious. But in terms of just why it even happened to begin with, because I just was like, man, I want a Sonic AU that tailors to me. This is just mine. But yeah, hopefully that is a good answer.
So
I hope it's a good answer.
It is a good answer. Remember, on the podcast of disaster, any answer is a good answer. Unless you ask me what I said about Silver and Surge a couple of months ago. Then I will break into your house and take your kidneys.
I seriously don't know if I want to know, because it sounds so ominous.
I'll tell you off camera. Court, why don't you take the next question?
I have the clip separated, so.
Okay, so the next question is, what inspired Son Ali to be the main ship in this AU?
Well, part of it is, I admit, slight bias, but not bias towards it and against others, but just man, I grew up on this ship. I might as well use it. It's not even my favorite. I just grew up on that ship, so whatever. But
Interesting.
But okay, admittedly now this particular version of it is, but not the whole ship as a whole, just this particular version. But that's only because at this point I've grown attached to this universe. So, but as far as actual how I write it, inspirations, an anime called Trigun and Lupin the Third I already mentioned was definitely some of the sort of inspirations of how I
Before
write.
we started.
So, yeah, I went on a whole tirade about this anime, but for the audience, there's this anime called Trigun, which is a very good anime, and you should watch it, please. And it's a space western, and without getting into too much detail, basically the premise is that the main character, Vash, is wanted for destroying an entire town, and the idea is that no one really thinks that he would be the guy that would do something like that, because not only is he super friendly, he's also kind of an idiot. Whether he is actually an idiot or whether he's pretending to be an idiot, I won't spoil, but he's one of those characters. And one of the main protagonists is this lady named Meryl. I think I mispronounced her name the last time, so let me just quickly check it.
Is it the Courage the Cowardly Dog woman, Muriel?
Muriel. Yeah, Muriel. Muriel is a insurance lady, and she is basically just in the original. In the reboot, I'm not entirely sure if they changed things up, but in the original, she was a insurance lady that essentially would go from town to town to if something happened, she would write off the budgetary parameters of that. For example, robbers or something going into a town causing mayhem. She goes into that town and just was like, okay, so this is the amount of money it's going to take to fix all this. So that was her job. And in the anime, we see her just going out, doing her thing with her her friend, Millie, who is like also like an insurance lady. She's basically her partner in crime. Well, partner in insurance. And then Vash just shows up. Like he just kind of shows up, like like they just sort of catch him in the middle of the whole thing, and it's real. And from there, it just kind of it's just like that's kind of the running gag. Like they're trying to do their job, going from town to town, and every time he just happens to be in the exact same town. He's not even doing this on purpose. It's just coincidence. But like, and like she constantly. And she sort of becomes, by that point, becomes closer and closer to him by extension of just being around him. But also her opinion of him goes from like, this guy's stupid to this guy's mysterious to this guy kind of. So, you know, it's kind of the same thing in my AU. Like that's sort of the gag, I guess, so to speak. Like it starts off as just like, this guy's weird. Like Sally's just like, this guy's absolutely strange. And then like, I'm actually kind of interested now in this person. Like, I want to know what his deal is. And then it goes to like, this guy's actually a really good person. I don't know why, but I feel like I have a crush on this guy now. So, you know, that's sort of how, I guess that's how the inspiration of the actual ship came from. Among other things, there's many other pieces of media that have read that definitely kind of contributed to it, especially like a lot of shoujo manga. So, like, funny enough, a lot of the tropes that I've used are honestly just ripped out of stuff that you'd find in, like, specifically romance manga. Like, other media that isn't manga either, but, like, good chunk of it is basically just that. Also, have any of y'all watched, what's it called? High School... It's a very old anime. What was it? High School Host Club? I think that's what it's called.
No,
I have a friend that watches a lot of anime, and he's mentioned it to me offhand a couple of times, and I was really interested in the plot, so I might get into it one day. I actually have a funny...
High School Host Club. That sounds familiar, I'm not gonna lie.
It's a very classic romance anime. It's like kind of in the echelon, I suppose, of like, this is the romance anime of my childhood type thing. Like, I watched this when I was younger, type of vibe. But like the vibe with the main character who is like a tomboy, but like everyone, like at first everyone just thinks it's a guy because she just, I guess, just fit in with it. She wears guy clothes. I don't know. I don't remember the exact reason, but regardless, like how she acts, which is like in this like whole group of unhinged guys, she's the only one who acts like a normal person for the most part. That was another reason, like inspiration. I was like, it'd be mad funny if I just made a Sally who honestly just acts like the normalest person. Out of every single character that is in Sonic, she's probably the least unhinged, and that's what makes their dynamic really fun. Because she's just like, this guy's like living in a whole other plane of reality from me. But yeah. Anyway, that was a whole ramble and a half.
It's fine, man. Like, keep going. Like, if you want to, you can keep going.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I will. If you don't stop me. Yeah, let me think. Yeah, actually, the main character of that anime definitely had a lot of contributions to just how I wanted the dynamic to be. Just sort of, it's interesting because, like, you know, if you look at like, if you ever read like Archie Sonic, and this isn't like a knock on how Archie Sonic did the ship, because I actually think how Archie Sonic did the ship is actually quite complex, and I think that's what makes it super appealing to a lot of people, and it's appealing to me in that way as well, because I actually do like kind of like, I'm not one to like say that this is like how I would do it, but it's just like I like looking at media that does romances that are a little bit more messy. And if you look at, and if you read Archie, you're going to find out very quickly that their relationship, while very cute, is also very messy.
Believe me, I've read Archie. I know the messiness.
Yeah, it's very much that. And I was like, you know, I kind of don't want to, for this particular AU, I just didn't want to do that. Not because I don't like it. Like I said, I don't have a problem with it. But like, you know, like it didn't really work, especially in this particular AU, because of how I characterize Sonic, who in this AU is very much characterized just basically Game Sonic. Like he's and not even like current Game Sonic, but rather like early 2000s, somewhere in that timeline, like that very particular characterization that is, you know, like it just wouldn't work to put drama between the relationship. So I had to sort of like do other ways to make it like interesting, like without having them, you know, have that sort of. Plus, again, how I already was characterizing Sally anyway, it wouldn't have really made sense for her to act like that anyway. Like she's messy. Like trust me, my Sally's still kind of messy, but she's not like in that way. It's more like what's the word I'm looking for?
Scatterbrained.
Yeah, like scatterbrained, and also like she doesn't think of herself as, she doesn't hate herself or anything like that, but like she doesn't think of herself as particularly highly as she probably actually is. Like she undermines her own ability.
Does she have self-doubt?
Yes, not to the point where she's like moping around, but she's like she'll do something.
She'll have like a random thought in the
like,
day, and she'll just go like, wait a minute, I'm not her. So
yeah, yeah, literally. Like she'll go from like doing something actually pretty impressive, and then just be immediately like, that wasn't that cool. That wasn't that cool. That wasn't, and then Sonic's like over here like, what are you talking about? Like that's kind of a lot of where the I guess emotional stuff comes in, because like I think I described this one time. The dynamic is very much like Sally has like a ton of like not even just potential. Like it's not even just like you have a ton of potential and you can do great things. She's already doing great things, but she somehow doesn't really, outside of like, she acknowledges that she's doing a good things, but she doesn't let herself kind of go like, man, I did that. It's mostly just like, I mean, I helped some people. That was cool. Yeah, it's just like, that was cool. And then Sonic's like, you gotta hype yourself up, bro. Like, come on.
You do not give yourself enough credit, I guess. Like,
yeah,
maybe that's what he would say.
Yeah, pretty much. She doesn't give herself enough credit, at least at first. And
you
also,
better update her credit score.
Dude, update your credit score, please. It's funny you mention that. I feel like her credit score is almost non-existent, considering how she's constantly broke. But that's probably for a different question. Yeah, no. And like I think I wrote somewhere that like Sonic sees a fire in her that she does not see in herself. And even though that's like very corny, this is pretty much the crux of that. Like that's exactly how to describe their sort of like not even just like romance. Yeah, just their dynamic in general. I think what's interesting is that in terms of like romance, well, Sonic in this universe, well, not even just in this universe, but in the games, he's not very traditional in the sense that he doesn't act like a normal human being. So a lot of his, like how I present the actual lovey-dovey stuff is not, at least on his end, is not nearly as like direct as you would expect any other character to just be like, I love you, Sally. Like he doesn't really say those things. It's just like read between the lines. It's a vibe. Like you can tell. Like if you pay attention, he likes her like that. He just isn't saying it because that's just how Sonic is. But it's not because he's like it's not even like he wouldn't openly admit it. No, he would. It's just he doesn't really have to. Like he doesn't have to say anything. It's kind of just like, yeah, no, it's pretty obvious. But as for her, on her end, on the other hand, she grew, at first it kind of grows into like an admiration thing. Like it's not even just admiration. At first it's just genuine morbid fascination. In fact, the dynamic kind of starts off as just like Sally being a reporter. She sees Sonic do all these ridiculously insane things, and her live reaction to that is just, I want to pick apart his brain.
Like a neuron activation?
This guy's so weird. Yeah, literally, just like, this guy's so weird. I find that fascinating. This is before she's like actually attracted to him. This is just her being like, this guy's weird. I find that interesting. I'm going to pick apart every single element about this guy, and I'm going to get an interview. Oh my god, I just completely remembered. I just realized I've completely omitted the Superman Lois Lane inspirations. Oh my god. It's right there. It's on my desk.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Superman and Lois is also a pretty big one. It's not even because, Lois is a reporter, Superman is Superman. Sonic doesn't act like Superman, but it's still like the general dichotomy of just like
personification of hope.
Lady. Yeah, the personification of hope, and this reporter lady that I found. That is also very cool. Yeah. Let's see. Let me think. Gotta get my thoughts all together. Yeah, so she starts off just kind of like, man, this guy's weird, but I want to know more about him. And then the more she interacts, the more she just kind of gets directly involved in his bullcrap. Like, at a certain point, it's like, she's kind of like, I'm just an unbiased observer. I'm just here to, like, help with, like, the things that you need help with, but other than that, I am simply a reporter. Like, I'm friends with you, but, I'm a reporter. And it's like, woman, you're part of the gang at this point. Trademark. Like, you're literally you're part of the gang. At this point, like, you've gotten so far deep in with us that you're part of the gang. Like, you may not necessarily say that out loud, but it's true. It's almost like you just, like, get this normal random person, and then she just gets brought into this extremely unnormal and unpredictable group of people. That being Sonic himself, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, Shadow, etc. Like, these are some larger-than-life figures, and then he just got her. Just like there. But like I said, though, Sonic does not see her as just some random person. That's mostly just like the POV, though. From her perspective, that's how she feels about herself. Yeah, then obviously that like after once she starts to actually get to know Sonic, that's when she starts to be like, um, what's interesting is that her initial reaction was mostly fueled by her reporter senses of like thinking that there's probably some sort of agenda that he has that he isn't saying because she's a reporter, and plus being realistic, if you saw a random blue hedgehog going around at the speed of sound doing God knows what, just all the time, would you at least not, like, without the context of knowing who he is at all, would you not be at least a little suspicious? Because I would, frankly.
I think that's how this podcast started, with just me going around and like, oh, who's this?
Yeah. She's like, who is this guy? So that's her initial sort of like, man. But then she realizes that he's being 100% honest when he says that, the line, like, I'm just a guy who loves adventure. He's not lying. He's that simple. He's kind of simple-minded. Not in like a dumb way. He just is that simple. And once she realizes that's actually true, she actually grows to like him more because she's like, wow, this guy's like actually just honest. Not only that, he's got a very simple goal, and that's just to help people and to go on adventures. And you know what? As simplistic and kind of, seemingly unrealistic as you would think that would be, he's right there. She's seeing him with her own 2 eyeballs. He's real, all right. So, so then at that point, that's when she starts to actually like him romantically. But she kind of keeps it to herself for the most part. At least she tries to. It's terrible though, because terrible in the sense that like everyone knows. Like, come on, like she's not subtle. Subtlety is not her strong suit. That is like the least subtle thing about her, actually. Is like everyone in her workplace knows. They all know. She just thinks they don't because she's just like, yeah, there's no way they know. And it's like, yeah, they do. They do know. They're just not telling you. They know you like that hedgehog. They know how you feel. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not really sure what else to say about the ship other than that I think I did a good job at writing it. I don't know. I hope. People seem to like it, so I think I'm doing something right.
I would say that you are definitely doing something right. And
I don't know what it is yet. Anyway.
And speaking of next things, Lord M, why don't you take this next question?
Sure. Besides Sonawi, what other ships are in this AU?
Well, there's a lot, but I can go through some of the more, I guess, I don't want to say important, but just like, well, actually, yeah, no, I'll say important. There are definitely some that take favor over others. Amy and Mighty, that one is definitely very, very important to the story. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with that. I think some of which I like vaguely gone into detail with, but like not fully. So I guess I can't hear. Woohoo! Yeah. So Amy in this universe, it's not just for the record, it's not one of those things where it's like, man, because I hate when other writers do this, and this is not to knock on anyone in particular, but this is a general trope that I see. I'm not one of those writers that are just like, man, I don't like this ship, so I'm just going to like make this character seem bad and or put them with someone else. I've seen that happen quite a few times in like other fan fictions, and I'm not particularly a fan of it. Like I said, I'm not going to knock anyone in particular, but I've seen it a lot. It's like, I mean, okay, but that's not what this is. I had already knew. I was like, okay, well, Sonic and Sally are in games, but I didn't want to write Amy in such a way where it's like, oh, she just doesn't like Sonic. Like, no, that's not. I just felt that wasn't fair, especially with the fact that this universe is already very game accurate. No, she does. Technically, it's not even she still does. She gets with Mighty, so I wouldn't say she still does even after that. But like, no, she likes Sonic just like any other Amy. Like. In fact, it's basically just biblically accurate Amy, where she's just like, she very much deeply cares about Sonic. But thing is that in this universe, Mighty kind of meets Amy approximately around the same time as Sonic CD, actually right after, because how in Sonic CD, judging by the cutscene, Sonic kind of just like after you save Little Planet, he rescues Amy, drops her off, and then just leaves.
It's
so
like,
that still happens.
Woman, bye.
Yeah. In this universe, right after that, it leads into a whole different adventure that is completely original that stars Amy and Mighty, but mostly Amy. Well, I guess they're kind of just a duo at that point. So, but yeah, right after, I introduce Amy's sort of own Eggman, so to speak. I mean, not really, not in a permanent sense, but just like for that particular story, I would say that he serves that sort of similar antagonistic role. That being Nagus, the wizard. He has beef with Amy in this story. Like, And it's not even just like he's super evil. I mean, well, he's pretty sinister, but I wouldn't call him like a pure evil villain in this universe. In fact, he's actually more like neutral, chaotic neutral, or chaotic neutral evil, or something like that. His alignment is probably very dubious considering his goals. But without like getting into too much detail, since I probably want to talk about this on Twitter eventually anyway, basically she goes on a bit of a side quest, getting hunted down by Nagus, and Mighty simultaneously was actually in the area and runs into her and decides, I don't know who you are, lady, but you seem like you're in distress. I don't know why, but there's like people chasing you, so I'm just gonna help out because Mighty, kind of like Sonic, just sort of shows up wherever he pleases. And in fact, that's actually part of the reason why I shipped them together, because I was like, well, I can't ship. Well, I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. I was like, I didn't want Amy to be single. That was entirely an option, but it didn't feel right for some reason. I don't know. Like, not even like in this, like that. I was really considering that, but then one of my friends who was a huge Son Amy fan was like, no, I have an idea. And I was like, what's your idea? Pair her up with Mighty. And I was like, elaborate, because what? That was my first reaction anyway. Just, wait, what? Mighty? But then he explained like the very similar characters that Mighty and Sonic have. And so in a way, I basically have pseudo Son Amy, technically, with a different character, but Mighty and Sonic are intentionally supposed to be pretty similar to each other, so it works in that sense. Except I characterize Mighty as sort of like, how Sonic is sort of a, he's got that aloof charm, as I call it, that homeless bum man charm.
Mighty's just locked in, Sonic but locked in.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like locked in. Yeah, he's like Sonic, but like consistently, like just always. He's not even like serious. It's just he's always just like, he doesn't really, he doesn't have a reason to be nearly as like a homeless bum type of charming, because one, he's just kind of got more sensibilities, whereas Sonic has pure charisma. He has like actual sensibilities, which aligns with Amy very well, because like he's kind of more gentlemanly, not even like in the sense like, oh, he's such a gentleman, but like he kind of is. It's kind of like that, like compared to Sonic. So there's another reason I was like, that would be kind of funny. Like Amy's just like, he's so nice. Like what the heck? Like Sonic's nice too, granted, but like it's a different kind of nice, I suppose. Just to make it distinct from Sonic, obviously, and making him his own character. Matter of fact, funny enough, Mighty and Sonic are very, very close friends in this universe. So in a way, it's like if you met two twin brothers or something like that, and just were like, why are they both hot? That's Amy, basically. At least at first. Another inspiration for Mighty is also Jigen, which is Lupin's like best friend. So yeah, the dynamic is also quite similar, where Jigen in that anime is also constantly like, by comparison to Lupin, kind of more gentlemanly, a little bit more subtle, slightly. Yeah. Anyway, so that's one of the major ships, and then another one is Shadow and Tikal. And I know someone was in here earlier in the audience that was like neuron activation as soon as I brought that up. But yes, Shadow and Tikal. That one was decided by the Wheel of Fate. That wasn't like planned from the start. It was just like I didn't even really think I had to ship Shadow with anybody, so I just sort of like made a wheel that had different options. One of them being just he doesn't get shipped with anybody, but it landed on Tikal, and then I read an entire thread explaining why people ship that ship to begin with, and I was like, it's a very interesting dynamic. So you know what? I think I could do something with this.
The Fate decided. The Fate is a Shadiko fan.
Yeah, the Wheel of Fate decided. It was Shadiko. It was Shadiko this entire time. Like, it was funny, because I literally live streamed this with my friends, like, the Wheel of Fate. I put a bunch of different names. The other options were really funny. It was no one. Like, that was, like, one in red. And then there was Lanolin, funny enough. Not because I ship it, just because I saw it somewhere, and I was like, okay.
Fun fact, I was one of the main people who pushed Shadowlin. I kind of created that thing.
That's funny.
Yeah, along with my good friend DDR Master M, who's a fantastic writer.
Yeah, it was that, and then there was Rouge the Bat, which was pretty obvious to me, so I was like, okay, might as well put that there. Who else was on that wheel? There are several other candidates. I think, as a joke, I put like, what's his name? Did I put Knuckles on there? I don't remember. There was too many candidates. Anyway, I spun the wheel. Long and short of it, I just spun the wheel. And then it landed on Tikal. So I was like, okay. But that one is probably going to actually be a lot more important down the line as I continue to write Shadow, which I have plans for him, most of which are just like, I like Shadow. I think he's cool. I'm going to just write him.
We all think Shadow is cool.
Shadow is pretty cool. one of my friends disagrees with this. They hate Shadow, but that's not here or there.
Can I get your friend's number?
You're like,
I'm not saying I'm a hater too, so.
Bro.
Shadow hate nation is rising. I see.
Yeah. Also, when you mentioned in the ships, I was, oh, that's a good ship. Until you say Yano, and I was, the fuck?
Yeah.
Lord
M is Lanolin's wife. He loves Lanolin.
Not me. All right. My OC does not represent me. I have my personal representation too.
Neat.
Like I said, that one was not really like I ship it or anything. It was just one that I just wanted to give people I just wanted to give a lot of people a shot, basically. Like, if it landed on it, I would have done it. If it landed on Rouge, I would have done it. If it landed on any of the others, I would have done it. Like, I would have committed to it. So it was like a fully unbiased, just I don't know, bam, just put out all the names and just see what happens. Yeah, pretty much. Just a dart in the dark, just bam, that one. So now I have to actually fully commit to it because I'm not going to backtrack. So now I have to actually figure out how Shadow and Decal end up in this universe, because it's basically a retelling of a lot of different stuff. So I have to actually make it make sense. But, I'm sure I can figure that out. I've done enough for Sonic and Sally, so who knows? And then what's another one? Agent Stone and Eggman. Kind of. Sort of. It's very angsty and very sad and borderline kind of just makes you want to curl up in a ball, but hey, it's there. there's some bits of that then there. And then more of a funny one, just for the sake of making everyone in this call laugh. Uncle Chuck and Longclaw is a thing. So there's that.
About that point about Stone and Eggman, we all love Toxic Yowie here on the Podcast of Disaster, so don't worry.
Oh, then you'll love where this is going.
Oh no.
It's probably the epitome of that. Probably more so than the movie version, which I wouldn't even consider that. All that toxic. So, you're a fan of that. Well, I got good news for you.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yep. Here we go indeed. Yeah. Yeah, that's just a couple of the ships that are also in this AU. I'm sure there'll be many more that'll pop up, and in fact, there's some that I do have, but I just haven't gotten a chance to properly talk about on my other stuff. So
I can't wait to see who if Silver's gonna be in it. I can't wait to see who the Iblis Rizzer ends up with.
Well, I can tell you one thing: he is in the AU. I don't know who he's rizzing.
Well, if you ever saw that image of Silver getting kissed by Whisper and Blaze by Adam Bryce Thomas, that was me, along with Lanolin and Rouge.
That was a thing that he drew? That's hilarious.
Yes, I have done a lot of things with my money that I am very happy of, and also I'm like, why did I do that?
Lord.
Yep.
Yeah.
What?
So, speaking of, that's funny. Court, why don't you take this next question if Cheesy's all shaped out of shippings?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it.
Okay, so the next question is, what is the overall plot and who is the main villain?
Main villain is this guy, very obscure character you've never heard of. His name is like Dr. Eggs Benedict or something. I don't know, man.
Is that a FNAF reference with the Eggs Benedict?
It can be. But no, the plot is just kind of... Honestly, the plot is as simple as just Sonic and his friends go on various adventures to stop the evil exploits of Dr. Eggman and various other villains. That's kind of the whole thing. Like, it's
not really any different to like the main canon, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. The only difference between it, well, aside from the very glaring differences from the main canon, in terms of the actual narrative, the only real difference is that, unlike the games, it actually does have a planned ending and it's building up to the ending. But it's not like the ending is the trajectory in the sense that it's from the beginning. This is the plot. It's just it happens. Like, it's building up to that, but it's not tied entirely to the actual basic plot. The actual basic plot is pretty much just exactly what the games do, where it's just like they go on various adventures and stop Eggman. And yeah, that's kind of arguably the main villain kind of switches between Eggman and like this character that I have yet to. It's not like an OC, but like a character I've yet to talk about. So I'll keep that shush. But it's Eggman. It's just basically him. Throughout the entirety of it. Like, obviously, there's other villains that kind of become main villains in their own little side things, but ultimately, it always wraps back to Eggman.
I like how you started it off, though.
Yeah, like...
Eggs Benedict.
Just Eggs Benedict. It's either Eggs Benedict or Robert. I don't know, man. Something like that. man. But yeah, no. Yeah, that's kind of just the main plot. Honestly, it's pretty simple, straightforward. Honestly, a better question would probably be like, what are the main plots of every individual season? But that would make this podcast 5 hours long. And I don't think I want to talk about this for 5 hours.
We're already coming up on 40 minutes.
Good lord. But yeah, that's the plot. Sonic doing things, going on adventures.
He's got places to go. He's got to follow that rainbow.
Yep, he's got places to be. He's got to skedaddle.
Bluesky do, we can too. Well, speaking of main things, Lord M, why don't you take this next main question?
Sure. What is your main inspiration for size design?
Okay, there's a few, but one of the main inspirations, the main inspirations, there was Fleetway, Fleetway Sally Acorn, which, if those who do not know, Fleetway is the other Sonic comic, not IDW, and not Archie. It's the British one. It's the one with the Brits in it.
The British.
It's the inspiration for her main basis of her design was that particular version of Sally Acorn. Because little known fact, a character by name named Sally Acorn, it would probably be unfamiliar for people who have no idea about Fleetway or are only used to Sally being a princess outside of my AU anyway. But I didn't come up with the reporter thing particularly. That came from Fleetway, because in that university is also a reporter. And so I looked at Fleetway and I was like, So I'm going to take 90% of this design-wise. And in that design, she also wears a coat, a white coat, and she has some of the other stuff that she has I just did not have. But I took the coat from Fleetway and gave her a skirt as well. And then another inspiration was just the Archie version of her. Not even but not Reboot. Funny enough, a lot of people think that it's from Reboot where I got a lot of the inspiration from, but funny enough, not all that much. I mean, aside from the fact, I guess that her boots, not really. Mostly just the regular Archie, the pre-Reboot version. I took some inspiration from, and then I also took inspiration from just Ricky, which is just the name of the animal squirrel creatures that come out of the badniks in the games. It's just named Ricky, so I took that design cues from that, and then I basically put it in a melting pot and stitched it all together like Frankenstein, and Sally is Frankenstein's monster, I guess, in this analogy. And then I also took a thing or two from other general vibes that I wanted. For example, I was like, how am I gonna implement blue into this color scheme? Because I was like, I don't want her to just wear white and not have blue anywhere outside of her eyeballs and boots. So you know what? I'm gonna give her a scarf, because scarves are cool. They're like bow ties or something. They're cool. So that came from that. And yeah. Oh, and also partially a little bit of this one character from Lupin the Third, the First, which is a movie. Letitia has a aesthetic. It's not the same outfit. It's just a very similar vibe that she has. Oh, and of course Lois Lane. just classic Lois Lane. I was like, that archetype. Put it on a Sonic character. See what happens. That was also part of it too. So yeah, those are kind of just the main inspirations, design-wise. I guess if we're talking her alternate look for forces, that was just directly ripped from Akira, from K, which is one of the main characters. It's just straight up if you look at them, it's verbatim the exact same outfit. So yeah, Akira as well, I guess. K specifically. So yeah, those were the designs and inspirations. Yeah.
Well, I hope this next question is inspiring. The final question of this episode: what has been your favorite part of the AU so far, and what's overall next?
Oh man, favorite part of the AU so far has definitely got to be the characters. At this point, I've grown so attached to these particular versions of these characters, and usually I would be if somebody told me, if someone else told me that, if it was just I don't know, usually I wouldn't get so attached to, I guess AU stuff, not in the sense that I don't like them, but just but I don't know I've grown to very much how I write a lot of this stuff. So I guess the characters in particular are very much my favorite part, and also they're just really fun to write, honestly. They're just incredibly entertaining to write. So I just have a lot of fun writing characters in general. So honestly, just getting to write characters interact with each other in the most absurd scenarios, that is definitely my favorite part of working on this, especially when it gets to comedic stuff. Oh good grief, I got jokes for days. But yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite parts of the AU so far, just the characters. The world, I think, is like a second favorite because I have a lot of plans for how the world building works, but I think characters are 100% my favorite part of the AU so far. And as far as what's next in terms of the AU, I'm making 3D models. Little known fact, I kind of know how to work with Blender. It likes to fight me sometimes, but yeah, so I'm making 3D models for the characters, having some help as well with that. Not for any particular project, just because I really wanted to have them.
What's your favorite type of blender? Mine is the Ninja blender.
I'm more of a, I like Ninja, but they failed me one time, so they absolutely decimated the blade.
The rig.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, That sucks. Whatever. But yeah, no. Yeah, I guess that's all that's really well. There's some stuff in the back end that is coming soon, particularly some voice stuff in the works. So there is that. That's kind of one of the bigger things. I got to focus on one thing at a time, but like that's also happening. So stay tuned for that. Oh, that'll be very fun. I've been having a lot of fun writing that for the AU. But yeah, that's kind of all that's next. And yeah, any other questions that you may have? I'm very much able to answer more. You don't have to, by the way. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, we can always leave this open up for a part 2, and we can have the audience ask us questions to ask you about your AU.
That would actually be very fun. I'm actually quite curious to know what people have to ask me about this AU, because I've been getting a lot of questions from mutuals, and I'm like, I kind of forget to answer them. So maybe one day we could just have all of them at once, and I could just stressfully chug down a cup of coffee and look at through them like as my eyes glaze over. That'd be fun.
Okay, Lanolin, I see you. Well,
like a peachy time.
We'll get you a nice stack of copy papers as well, so you have something to snack on.
Thank you.
And we'll keep you away from octopuses.
Oh God, please keep those things away from me. I have beef with them.
Well, speaking of things that have beef in them, we usually put beef on flames, like the Flames of Disaster, the podcast of Disaster. I'm trying to create a good way to end this episode. Well,
you were like this close, and then you just immediately fumbled.
Yes, I'm like the Browns on the fumble. I'm actually a Cleveland Browns fan, so the word fumble makes me sad, even though I wasn't born in the 80s. Well, anyways, speaking of things that are born, this episode will be born on Tuesday. So we will all see you on Tuesday. Thank you all so much for watching. Be good to yourselves, others, and mothers, and see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.